Espresso Talks by Sphere Energy.
Welcome to another episode of Espresso Talks, to a very special episode of Espresso Talks. It is the last episode of the year. I don't know about you, Lucas, but I already feel a lot the Christmas vibes, and I'm looking forward to having a cool conversation with you. You guys decided that we should talk about actually our key takeaways of the year, what happened throughout 2025, and also more interestingly, probably what are our personal predictions for next year.
The predictions.
Indeed. And we also want to challenge ourselves. We try to make those predictions measurable, so we can talk about those next year again in 12 months from now to see who was right and who wasn't. Well, we always structure those points across 3 dimensions. We want to talk obviously about the battery market, the automotive market. We want to talk about AI technology as the second dimension. And then obviously we want to talk about Sphere. What happened in our company, what happened within our technology roadmap. So let's start with highlights, lowlights of 2025 and with the battery market. So Lucas, when you...
Maybe not the biggest highlight, right? For everybody who knows what happened in 2025, it was not an easy year for the battery market. We have seen the most prominent player, especially in Germany, fail and go out of business, right? We had Northvolt, we had Custom Cells. Cellforce is kind of still unclear what's happening with them, but obviously this is very, very unfortunate and not the signal from the market that we all hoped for, right? A lot of good talent lost their jobs there. And obviously it made us more vulnerable to non-German or non-domestic, non-European delivery and supply, right? And I think this is what we saw, especially with the temporary graphite, I think it was export stop from China, showed us how vulnerable we are. And definitely not on the highlight front, but rather on the lowlight front, what the battery market belongs.
Unfortunately, yes. Well, and when we talk about the battery market, especially in Germany, I think we need to talk about the automotive market, right? And I don't think it's a secret if we say that the automotive market struggled in 2025. I think it was one of the worst, numbers-wise, one of the worst and most challenging years in the history of automotives in Germany. And when we look at the operating profits, I think it was like 80% down when comparing to 2024. So 80% reduction in EBIT, in operating profit.
Massive.
It's crazy. I think the last time we had this, the second worst year was in the financial crisis around 08, 09. So this really shows that it wasn't easy for the automotive market, and obviously also not for tier ones and all the suppliers that are serving this industry.
Yeah, however, I think we really have a good sign there as well. When we look at the new car models that come out, when especially latestly released the Mercedes GLC with over 700 kilometers in reach, and of course the BMW iX3 with over, I think, 900 kilometers in reach and a very fast charging pace. I think this is also the first time where the Germans really show off what they're really capable of. I really feel that the former products were something where you had to develop something quickly, and it was not really well thought through and was, in our eyes, just too expensive for what it is. I think these new models are really going to be a game changer for the market.
And not just the tech spec, right? I think also the design language is really, really cool, at least from my perspective. I think we've been to the IAA together, and the new cars, they're really cool. Well, let's talk about the next dimension, the AI tech dimension market, which is, compared to the battery market, maybe a bit more positive.
Yeah, I think we really saw AI picking up. Right, we see that the market is even going beyond the POC, what we call the POC stage, right? Everybody had now done their experience with POC, small little projects here and there. And I think that this year is going to be, or next year is going to be far beyond. People realize that doing small POCs here is good, but it doesn't justify the ROI in the end. And I think people realized how important data is almost all our clients are now working on their data pipelines, a very unfashionable topic, right? Nobody wants to touch the big mess they have in their basement, but we see across the field actually that people realize now how important data is to really do AI at scale.
I agree. Yes, and when we talk about AI, currently I think we all talk about LLMs, right? Text-based models. Not at Sphere, we're gonna get there soon enough. But I think, yeah, especially when we look at the model layer, right? I think on a chip layer, on a silicon layer, I think the game is not very competitive at the moment. I think there is obviously the one big player starting with an N. But on the model layer, I think what has been exciting, especially over the last couple of weeks, months, is that, yeah, it's really a horse race, right? We see beyond OpenAI, we see a lot of players now catching up. It's still, I think, 70% of the usage is OpenAI, but nevertheless, right, 30% is now, I think Gemini released a new model this week even, or last week, not sure.
Every week there's a new model coming out,
which is, I think, impressive. So I think there we see, competitive market and still a lot of technological improvements, right?
And I think, and we will talk about this in our predictions, a lot of new domains, right? Text is not by far not the only one thing that people work with. Videos, images and stuff are more on a B2C level what people are working with. And we have some predictions for next year, what will be the future.
So let's talk about Sphere.
Exactly, Sphere. I think a good example of what the future could look like. I mean, besides of a very amazing team that we are very proud of and all the business success that we have achieved, I think, yeah, a lot of our effort went into the DEKRA deal, right? And maybe you can say a couple of words of what we did there and what's the reasoning behind.
Of course. Yes, and I'm looking forward to the January episode with the CEO, Stan Tokiewicz, who will talk about the partnership in more details. But DEKRA invested in Sphere in October this year. And we are seeing a lot of synergies in our partnership, especially when it comes to scaling our AI models, right? And I think the vision is clear. We want to foster and accelerate virtual development, virtual testing, inspection, and certification through our models. And DEKRA obviously has a big reach when it comes to the industrial customers, the industrial industry in Germany especially.
Yeah, and I think one aspect is that we want to do this AI topic safe and in a trusted way. This is for us very important. I think we're dealing with very sensitive data with our clients, and the safety and the trustworthiness of AI is very, very important, and we couldn't wish for a better partner than DEKRA there on our side.
Absolutely.
And I think this is also a good segue into next year, right? What are our predictions for next year? Maybe starting off with the OEM market, and especially there on the development side. What do we think is happening there?
Sure, and by the way, just for the audience, we didn't script this, so Lucas is as surprised about my predictions as I'm about his. But my prediction for the automotive market is that the new generation of German EVs, like the GLC, like the iX3, my bold prediction is that by the end of next year, all those models will be sold out.
That's bold. I like that though. Would be a great push, and I think these models deserve to be sold out.
I agree. So maybe Lucas, hit me with your prediction about that.
Yeah, I mean, I really believe that the virtual way of developing cars and in the engineering space will pick up massively. It's hard to put a number there, but maybe let's put it out that all German and maybe even European OEMs, I think Renault is already doing it, invest heavily in the virtual development of cars. So more virtual testing, more virtual development in per se, and obviously AI plays a massive role in there. So my prediction is every European OEM will be massively invested in virtual development.
I'm not happy with this prediction. So what is heavy investment for you?
One POC running with Sphere at least.
I like that one. Yeah, so predictions, battery, automotive we had. Now let's talk about our predictions in the AI tech world.
Sure. You want to start? All right. So maybe you picked up on 70-30 with ChatGPT over all others. I predict this to come down by a lot. My prediction is 50-50 at least. So I think other models like the German developed models, maybe even from Aleph Alpha or the Black Forest Labs, and of course all the other big players like Grok, Gemini, and so on. I think it will be a much more even market. It's a very heavy technology race, so my prediction is there 50-50 in terms of utilization of these models.
Nice. Yeah, obviously in the language space, right? I think to pick this up, my prediction going beyond the language based, and you mentioned it before, right? I think there are a lot of, more promising use cases, especially in engineering beyond the language domain. And my prediction there is that, to make it measurable, Lucas, so the expenditure, so the investment of industrial companies in AI will be 50-50 in terms of language models and other domains, such as time series based models or CAD drawings or others, not to review too much.
How do we measure that? Is that something they put then on their annual report? Or
I'm sure there will be a McKinsey study talking about language domain investments versus sphere.
Awesome. Cool. And I think one other thing that we should talk about is this whole topic of SaaS and the very monolithic one single source of truth, one system of record architecture that's happening right now with all the SAPs governing everything. I think this is something we both believe. I think I'll talk for both of us that we believe that the SaaS world will change. I mean, who wants to have 600 different SaaS providers, one for HR or 100 for HR, then for procurement, for accounting, for engineering. I think this will consolidate heavily, and we'll be talking about the new AI architecture, a new AI framework that is needed to really develop, and not only develop but also maintain and govern AI ops in a way. I think AI ops will be a tag word next year.
Oh, I like that. Okay, cool. So I think we have some interesting, bold and measurable predictions for 2026. And Lucas, you mentioned already, maybe to close our Christmas session with the prediction about Sphere. You mentioned already that, our models are used by all the OEMs, all the European OEMs. And I think I just want to add to that, saying that using our models obviously is one, but we really believe in the business value that we can unlock, that these new models, these time series based models can unlock really measurable business results. And I believe that we can show this to a lot of companies.
And I would say we double in size, we double in our income, and be bold there as well.
All right, then I'm looking forward to next year and checking the numbers with you.
Awesome.